for the hour, but we start with the ongoing situation between the United States and Venezuela. And tensions are rising between Washington and Caracas after President Donald Trump confirmed a recent strike on a drug trafficking facility inside Venezuela. Trump revealed that US forces targeted a dock area used to load boats with drugs. The operation reportedly destroyed the boats, but details remain unclear. Reports suggest the CIA may have conducted a drone strike on a remote port earlier this month, targeting the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, suspected of trafficking drugs. The Pentagon and White House have yet to comment. Listen in to US President Donald Trump's statements.
Can you say anything more about the explosion in Venezuela that you mentioned in a radio interview? Did the military do that? Can you share what details about that?
Well, it doesn't matter, but there was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats, and now we hit the area. It's the implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around.
Meanwhile, the US military reports 2 people were killed in a strike on a suspected drug smuggling boat in the Eastern Pacific. This brings the total death toll in Washington's campaign in the region to at least 107. US Southern Command confirmed the vessel was operating along known narco-trafficking routes. This operation is part of a broader US effort to intensify pressure on President Nicolas Maduro's government, including a significant military buildup in the Caribbean. Joining us now in this discussion is Matthew Vadum, an American journalist and author. He joins us live from the American capital of Washington, D.C. Matthew, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. Of course, this has been a long-running campaign which has seen at least 107 people killed. However, what is lacking in both of the operations that we just mentioned is evidence provided by the United States government. Given all the scrutiny of the operations, why has no independent verification been released? Matthew, I'm unsure if you can hear me or not. Do give me a sign if you can. I apologize, we seem to be having some issues there with the guest. Hopefully we will get back to you on that. Of course, this is an ongoing situation between Venezuela and the United States. Donald Trump, a long critic of Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan president. Okay, Matthew joins us once again. Matthew, apologies about that. Of course, this has been an ongoing situation, both the striking of boats and now this new port strike inside Venezuela. Of course, critics say that no evidence has been produced in regards to these strikes. Why has no independent verification been released?
I'm not sure. Are people saying that they doubt that the U.S. conducted the strike, or perhaps they're questioning whether it was effective and whether the loading dock was actually destroyed by U.S. By U.S. forces? So maybe they're just saying that President Trump is talking big and not backing up his allegations with evidence. So I imagine perhaps that's what they're doing. If the United States has evidence that they have destroyed the dock, then they probably will produce it. Maybe they don't want to release it immediately for myriad reasons. You know, they might they might not have it yet. They might just be preparing it for release to the public. You know, there are many different reasons. If they don't come up with it, at all, then obviously people are going to question whether the strike took place.
Well, indeed, and of course, there has to be legal authorizations here, both domestic and international. Many critics of the Trump administration have said that why isn't the US, the most powerful military and most capable military in the world, providing evidence for these operations, which some say violate international law?
Right. Yes, many countries say that this violates international law, And this is an open question. It's the United States position that the Maduro government in Venezuela is an illegitimate dictatorship. And it's pretty clear, even though the Trump administration rarely says this outright, that they want regime change in Venezuela. They want Maduro gone, and that's why they're ramping up all this pressure, such as attacking the alleged drug running boats and seizing oil tankers on the high seas, which is being done. Has a twofold purpose. That is to put pressure on the Venezuelan government and to execute civil court judgments that have been that Venezuela has ignored. And so, it's a twofold justification for that. And many people say that it's not legitimate. And but the U.S. Congress, when given an opportunity fairly recently to curb the war powers of President Trump, decided not to do so. So under the way that the American system works, he doesn't have explicit authorization to do it, but he also is the commander-in-chief of U.S. Military forces, and so acting on his own authority under the Constitution, he can do it. Now, he could be held responsible for these actions later. The U.S. Congress, the House of Representatives could impeach him, and they could try him in the Senate, saying that he abused his constitutional authority as president. But in practical terms, there's really nothing that can be done to stop the Trump administration from ramping up pressure on Venezuela and from carrying out various military actions against it.
Yeah, and Matthew, and other than the concerns over international law and the evidence, of course, President Donald Trump campaigned on the aspect that the United States wouldn't be dragged into what he called forever wars, foreign wars. Donald Trump, of course, a long-time critic of the US actions in Iraq. Are you concerned that this might escalate into something that the American people don't want?
Well, that is, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it keeps me up. It keeps me awake at night. The thought of overthrowing a socialist, communist dictator doesn't give me nightmares, if that's what you're asking. But ideally, he should have authorization from Congress to do this. And considering that Republicans have narrow majorities in both the U.S. House of Representatives and the United States Senate, there's a good chance he would secure that authorization if it were put to a vote. So, I'm not, and I don't feel sorry for the Venezuelan regime under Nicolas Maduro. If that's what you're getting at, this is not a guy who deserves to stay in power. The question is what the United States has to do in order to effect a regime change there. And some critics, like Senator Rand Paul, Republican Kentucky, have been saying that is largely an ally of Trump, saying that he is exceeding his authority and that he doesn't have any lawful power to do what he's doing. But for the time being, nobody can stop him from doing what he's doing.
Okay, Matthew, do stay with us as we have some breaking news coming out of the Middle East. In Saudi Arabia,